Welcome to Canucks Last Week, where I try to cover everything Canucks hockey in a shorter amount of time than it takes to consider just how lucky Brock Boeser was this past week. I mean, just imagine being Matt Murray. Brock Boeser has scored 5 goals on you in the past 2 games, and yeah, I do not blame him for saying all you can do at that point is laugh, because if you're not laughing, you're just going to start crying. Going into the season, people thought Boeser was going to be good, but no one could have predicted just how good he was going to be. He's the engine leading this team right now, and he's only 20 years old. Justin Bourne wrote an article for The Athletic, which can be found down in the description, talking about Brock Boeser's deceptive shot. And basically, he was talking about how his body language doesn't really give any information to the goalie as where he's going to shoot. So if you think about how you try to shoot normally, if you're trying to raise the puck, your upper shoulder will be kind of more raised than your lower shoulder, and when Boeser shoots, his shoulders are level, which is crazy to think about. I don't know how he does that, but that one doesn't tell the goalie where he's going to shoot, and it also doesn't tell the goalie really when he's going to shoot. Going further off this, and from what I've noticed, Boeser's hands are always in a shooting position, which allows him to get the puck off very quickly, and when you're a goaltender who has to worry about this in the back of their head, that's just going to open up so many more possibilities for Brock, be it a playmaking, distribution play, something like that. And not to mention, he can also shoot on the rush in full stride while falling over, while probably someone's on top of him. The guy can do whatever he wants. We finally got to see him take a one-timer from the Ovechkin spot that he was so good at in his time in North Dakota, and you know what? We're not even going to call it the Ovechkin spot anymore. That is now the Boeser spot. He is shooting at a relatively high clip of 20%, and while I do think that will regress, I think he's shown enough to prove that he's an elite finisher in this league, and something of like a 15% shooting percentage isn't unheard of. If he continues to average 2.62 shots per game and converts on 15% of those, he'll add another 22 goals to his 11, making him the first 30-goal scorer in a Canucks uniform since Radim Vrbata. We also learned a lot from that exciting New York Rangers game. There was no Eric Branson or Brandon Sutter in the lineup, and the Canucks looked really good, although there was that defensive collapse in the third period, so maybe Sutter supporters have an argument there. That was also one of Jake Virtanen's strongest games as a Canuck so far, which is really, really nice to see, and it was also really nice to see Travis Green reward him with some extra ice time late in the third period. I also really liked his line with Brendan Gaunce and Marcus Granlund, and I hope that line continues even when Brandon Sutter is back in the lineup. It's been a while since I've seen him shoot the puck as much as he did that game, which is a great sign to see that he's gaining confidence again, but that's also an issue that people had with his game. Oftentimes, he would attempt these low-scoring chance shots from the perimeter that, yeah, they can work out in junior on junior goaltenders, but that's not going to work against Carey Price. But it's very easy to see the aspects to Virtanen's game that makes him so attractive and why the Canucks picked him 6th overall. Oh, I shouldn't have said 6th overall, because now I'm thinking of Nikolai Ehlers and William Nylander. What's in the past is in the past, but you can't deny that Virtanen's speed and ability to bring the puck into the zone and get in on the forecheck, as well as his shot, is, man, if he can just put the hockey sense together, you have a player there, and hopefully Travis Green can get that out of him. Travis Green knows it's a process with Virtanen, and it might not happen all at once in one season, but Virtanen could be a huge piece for us. Also, don't look now, but Louis Eriksson has 7 points in his last 7 games, and it took him a season and a bit, but he's finally arrived in Vancouver, and we are now starting to see the chemistry that he had with the Sedin twins playing for the national team. Thomas Vanek also continues to impress me, and I've been really amazed with his playmaking ability. It's a lot better than I thought it would be, and if he doesn't get a decent draft pick this year at the trade deadline, I'll be very confused. I'm honestly a little confused how Ken Holland struggled so much last deadline to not get anything too major in return. I mean, it seems like he's bought in this year, and his commitment's there, his work ethic's there. I don't really see too many issues with Thomas Vanek this year. With the play of Thomas Vanek and Louis Eriksson, it's allowed the Canucks to roll all 4 lines and be comfortable rolling all 4 lines, which leads me to a recent comment from Jim Benning saying that this is the best team we've put out on the ice in his 4 years here. And while I'd agree this is by far the most exciting team to watch in the past 4 years. I mean, the Sedins are playing secondary roles, which a lot of people had thought would be great for them in their twilight careers, and they, for the most part, have been excelling. The D-core has quietly been very, very solid for us, even with losing Tanev, Edler, Stetcher, all to injury. Everyone's chipped in, but I still don't want to call this a playoff team like Benning's first-year team was. Which leads me into Benning's contract. Jim Benning is in the final year of his contract, and you have to wonder how that will affect his decisions on trade deadline day. He may be thinking that this team has to make the playoffs in order for him to secure his job, but I hope that's not the case, and from the sounds of it, I don't think that's going to be the case. It sounds like, for the most part, Trevor Linden gets final say on all transactions that happen, so hopefully Linden won't be hedging our future by just trying to squeeze into the playoffs this year. And I mean, I think, if anything, if Benning can have a trade deadline like he did last year, where he was by far one of the biggest winners in the deadline, sold Burrows, sold Hansen for Jonathan Dahlin and Nikolai Goldobin. If he can do that with Thomas Vanek and Eric Goodbranson this year, I think that will secure his contract extension. I'll be making a separate video just reviewing what Benning has done so far in his term here and what I think his future will be like, but I'd like to hear what you guys have to say. I want to know your opinions. Do you think Jim Benning has done enough to earn another contract with the Vancouver Canucks? Do you even want him back? Or if you do you want him as a GM, or do you want him in a different role? The NHL Network did an interview with Brock Boeser and Bo Horvat. Link will be down in the description if you haven't seen it yet, but it was really, really cool seeing not the Sedins be the face of the franchise, and it's also really cool to see their dynamics of how they interact together, how they are on camera, and it really gives me hope for the future of the Vancouver Canucks franchise. Bo was definitely the one who was more comfortable on camera and was the one saying the right things, which really made me appreciate Bo's value to this team. Bo may not be our most talented player in the future, but in my opinion, he is the key to this franchise. He is going to be the leader of this next generation of Vancouver Canuck, and you hear it in Brock Boeser's voice about how much Bo has helped Brock transition into an NHL game, and Bo has learned from the best. He has learned from the Sedin twins, and it's funny hearing them talk about how every day the Sedin twins come in each day and just look happy and are ready to put in the work, and that has to rub off on the young players. That culture is still going to be there past when the Sedins retire, because Bo is going to bridge that gap, and that just gives me a lot of confidence that the Canucks will be playing the right way in the future, led by Bo Horvat. Also, Nikolai Goldobin was called up from Utica. He's put up 19 points in 17 games so far. He's been taking line rushes with Sam Gagner, Alex Burmistrov, and Thomas Vanek, that line, so maybe we'll see him get into some action tonight against the New York Islanders, but if anything, it's just a nice little reward to be paid professional or NHL salary for the hard work that he's put in, and it also sounds like he's been working on his penalty kill game, which can only be seen as a bonus. I mean, once you learn the defensive side of the game, you're allowed to focus more on the offense once the defensive side comes naturally. Coaches are going to trust you more. This can only be seen as a positive. I only wish the best things for Goldie. I think he's going to be a great player for us in the future. Will Lockwood at the University of Michigan is a prospect that we really don't get to talk about much, but so far he's put up 11 points in 14 games, and I think just the way he plays the game is going to be great for Team USA for the World Junior Championships. I've never heard of a prospect where a coach has been like, hey, you need to be less aggressive, you need to hit less, because he's only, he's 5'11", 172 pounds, and the coaches are worried that he's going to injure himself from being too reckless with his body, and like, that just sounds like a lot of fun to watch, and I think he's going to be a great prospect to watch for us if he makes the USA World Juniors team. So that's going to do it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like. It really helps me out knowing if I'm doing stuff right or wrong, and if you're new to the channel, please consider hitting subscribe. Join me on this wonderful Canucks journey and exams. School's almost over. I'm in my last week of the first semester of third year. That is crazy. Christmas break's happening soon, and I really, really would like to get back on the YouTube grind, put out at least hopefully 2 videos a week, Canucks Last week, and I'd love to do more prospect stuff, so please stick with me. Thank you for the support, for sticking with me so far, and yeah, I'll see you guys next week.